edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Can it already be Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Earth time? Must be, because it's time for Serious Star Trek. Hey, I'm your engineer, Dantron, but I got here your two hosts, none other than Dr. Johnny Price, PhD. Hey, John.
Oh, hey. How's it going, everybody?
And your pal and mine, he's the captain of fun, Larry Young. Happy birthday, Captain.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, 59 years old.
Happy birthday, Captain.
Larry, you're older than the Super Bowl. How's that feel?
I am. Oh, my God. I'm 6 weeks older than Doctor Who. That's the one I like.
Oof.
Because he's a time traveler, and I somehow beat him on linear time. So
Who?
Right. Him, the Doctor.
Dr. Whom?
Pourquoi? Anyway, yeah. Good to see you guys. I had a weird weekend because I didn't do all my normal stuff because everybody was like, hey, you got to do stuff for your birthday. And I'm like, can't we just go to the Petaluma corn maze and pretend it's like because we're going to the Petaluma corn maze and not because something I want to do? But I did enjoy going out to all the restaurants.
Now, at this so-called corn maze, what were the height requirements for getting into the maze?
Well, because we don't have a mini child anymore. Do you mean upper or lower? Because nobody says anything about giants like you. Like, John Price can't come because he can see over the top of the corn.
Sometimes people don't like it when you look over the top of the corn rows. And you're like, hey, there's a person. And they're like, oh, I'm in the middle of a maze. And I'm like, yeah, so am I.
They kind of ameliorate that because they have these two cool aluminum platforms. So part of the charm is getting up onto the top of the platform and going, hey, how's it going, to the other guys on the other platform? Like, look at all those assholes that are in the core, and we can see them. There's another one down in Half Moon Bay that's really cool. It has a middle courtyard where a guy dressed as a Minotaur is. So you tell all the kids, like, oh, part of the maze is the Minotaur, and then you start talking about Greek history for a while. That one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Typical Petaluma.
Is it a maze or is it a labyrinth?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I would, all bets being off and all things being equal, I would call it a maze just because this place in particular goes for all the corn puns. So you call it corn, we call it maze. It's a corn maze.
Yes.
I give it to him on that, just based on that alone. But I wouldn't use that as a general statement.
What is the line of delineation between a maze and a labyrinth?
Well, I'm glad you asked, John. You can't get lost in a labyrinth. A labyrinth you go into, and it has one path, and it takes you there. It is a labyrinthine path, but it is one. A maze, you have choices in a maze, but none in a labyrinth. So that's the big. And for those of you interested in more about labyrinths, you could check your local public library. And you can also look online. There is literally an online labyrinth finder, so you can find the nearest labyrinth to you. So go find that.
Tell me more.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. There's nothing more to tell, but that's the fun part. So could you get lost in the maze, Larry? Did you find bodies, huddled children huddled in the corn?
No, but they have funny signs saying that, if you don't come out by dark, we'll come and get you, and it takes a couple of days to find you. Stuff like that. It's pretty big. It's probably about 4 acres, and every year it's different. And this was their 30th year, and probably easily our 26th year going.
Whoa, you guys, you're hardcore.
So
it pops up in weird places. Like every once in a while, you'll be watching some old show, and they're like driving by because it's on, it's on the 101, and it's great for like porn. People run into the corn maze and like, do a little stooping in the corner before the kids come around. I don't know. Petaluma.
That's a really good segue to the story I have to tell you. My first date with my now wife was at a fall festival, pumpkin picking, and there was in fact a corn maze. And nobody was using the corn maze. Like no one was going in. I should note it wasn't a very good or big corn maze. So like no one was going in. And she was like, yeah, we should go in the corn maze. And I, being the male, being like, yeah, we should totally do that and go make out in a corn maze at a fall festival on our first date. That sounds like the coolest thing ever.
Sure.
Right.
Totally.
And she knows the story. I'm not double.
We're listening.
But so we're going through, and of course it's like it was either late September or early August. So I'm still wearing boat shoes at the time. And like it's all muddy and stuff, and I'm just not having a great time in this corn maze. And I'm like, man, this better be some pretty good corn mazing going on, But it turns out we just walked around the corn maze, and then we walked out of the corn maze, and that's the whole story. There was no
nothing
making out in the corn maze, which I'm still not gonna lie, low key bitter about. But hey, I married her, so I guess I won in the end.
Yeah.
Well,
she's absolutely gonna kill me.
Lost opportunities. That's all I hear. What are you gonna do?
There's an alternate reality. There's an alternate reality, John, where you got too fresh in the corn maze and your whole life unraveled. It never happened.
True. That's true. Better the corn unturned, I say.
Indeed, my friend.
The best part is this guy, Farmer Jim, was just a farmer, and he did it as kind of a joke one year, and then now this is his job, selling $12 corn dogs, and he gets really angry if people fuck with the corn because he's like, no, that's what I'm feeding my cows. Like always. This other thing was just a fun thing for my kids, and now you assholes have ruined it with money.
Yeah. That guy's no dummy.
So like this, us old guys like me and Mimi will walk by and go, what's up, Jim? And he's like, fuck you. And we're like, yeah, we heard it. We know what's going on.
Here's your $12.
Yeah, we're not buying any goddamn pumpkins, just so you know.
26 years in a row. That's you've contributed your share to the Petaluma.
It's super fun. I probably have. He makes little postcards, and he used to have to rent the $2 million helicopter that's at the edge of the Golden Gate Bridge to get a nice shot of the corn maze so people wouldn't freak out, right? You buy $1 for this souvenir postcard, and it actually tells you how to get out, right? It's been doing that every year. And now it's like, his son does it with a drone in like 10 minutes.
Wait, he pays $2 million for a helicopter?
No, they have a $2 million helicopter.
So
he has to rent it.
Okay.
There's like a little thing at the bottom of the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a little station. It's got a helicopter and one of those seaplanes, and they rent them on tours. But it's in San Francisco, and Petaluma is like an hour drive. So this poor guy has to get in his pumpkin smelling pickup truck and go down and go, I gotta get a picture of my goddamn, there you go, the corn maze. So the old ladies don't start crying. And now like his kid does it with a drone in like 10 minutes. It's hilarious.
So this is a real deal maze. This is you could get lost in this thing. I love it. Cool.
You can't really get lost because the way he plants it, you can kind of see. So if you can get to one end, which is pretty easy, you can just walk out and stomp back to your car and go, I hate this. Which happens. It happens a lot. 1 out of 10 people do that, honestly. You just get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm done. And you just walk through the corn.
That's awesome. Well, there's a new Blender feature about finding the shortest path that you can generate mazes. So now I've got a whole Larry and a corn maze theme that I'm going to have to work on for a thumbnail soon.
Does he? This is my last question. Does he call it the Petaluma wine mixer? Because that's just a great name.
It's got some kind of. No, they do that though on Catalina Island. They made that real.
Wine mixer. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
I wanted to have a Catalina wine mixer party this summer, but it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
Nah.
But one day,
like that's what I was going to say about your making out in the corn maze. The good thing about living in linear time is you can make that happen, man.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, you can tell her, hey, if we don't make this happen this year, I'm going to tell that story once a week on Serious Star Trek, and you're not going to like that.
Oh yeah, is that the show we're on? I almost forgot for a second that we're here talking about Star Trek, guys.
Oh, are we live?
What's that? Only for 11 minutes. What's going on in the Star Trek world, fellas? I'm out of the loop. I got She-Hulk stuff to talk about for sure, but that's all I got.
There's a whole lot of stuff about Star Trek Picard that we hate. That's about it.
Can I do the quick thing about the last episode of Lower Decks? Which is another reason I got this shirt. They did their version of the DS9 Nemesis thing. So this bottom bit on the yoke is white for Lower Decks. And they made I know Chris Sagasag, I hope, is here because he cares. He wants to know what kind. He's making a Lower Decks badge. They're they're gunmetal and silver, two different colors.
Well, Larry, to my untrained sartorial eye, that uniform looks sharp. Tell me what you were telling us. Give just the dirt you were giving us backstage.
That's just me personally. You guys know I love the Star Trek uniforms. It's I don't know if I should say this, but it's really based in childhood trauma, right? My dad was like, "You can't have one of those shirts. That's ridiculous. Go out and play soccer and kiss a girl." And so then I grow up and I'm like, I'm buying all the fucking Starship.
Yeah, of course.
How do you like that? Anyway, this one I just don't like the cut of it. I don't like that it showed up in DS9 before it showed up in Nemesis, and then when it showed up, or the one before even First Contact, right? And then when they
First Contact,
when they showed up there, they just didn't even get the memo. They made 7 shirts for the actors, so. There's a mix of the old TV show ones and then the old DS9 ones. There's 3 different uniforms that Command Crew wears in that movie. And so I just kind of this is fuck you. I don't like this one. And so
how does it work though? Is that the undershirt there though? Is that denoting the color? Is that
the gold is support services, blue sciences, and red command, and they do that.
Yeah.
The design of the shirt's really cool. This rank braid is on a zipper. So when I got this shirt, they're like, hey, whatever you want, buy the color you want, and you can just put the rank braid on, which I thought was pretty cool.
Good idea.
Yeah, I thought that was nice of our friends. And
gold is support services?
Yeah,
operations, security, engineering,
just everything, etc. It's the etc.
Janitorial.
It's like command, you guys are fucking cool. Sciences, you keep the lights on and save people from gunshots from guns from 1880 on that planet. And everybody else, you just wear gold because fuck you. That's why.
Yeah. The people who actually run the ship, they wear gold. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think it's funny that there are Lower Decks guys with, they should just all be security and support.
Yeah, if you think about it too hard, it doesn't really make sense because literally, if you want to do a 1-to-1 thing to the U.S. Navy or something, everyone who graduates the Naval Academy would be either operations or sciences. They're literally command is a thing that you get into. It's not a thing you graduate into, right? No one's giving a 22-year-old a command of a starship.
That's what I was wondering. Is it you get pulled into the command ranks, maybe from the other divisions, just based on you're the cream of the crop, you got the leadership talents?
Yeah, basically, what they've tried to retcon is kind of it's a command track. So it's they'll give, if you're an ensign, they'll put you at the helm and be like, hey, here's your chance to kind of have a bridge experience you know, or like you're a yeoman or something like that. And then
I hope they don't put it that way. That seems very.
mean, that's basically what they try to wreck on.
No,
Of course,
I mean that's fine. I think that's cool.
Then there's the stupid Discovery nonsense about like it's literally a thing you can graduate with at the academy, which is so goddamn stupid.
I think that's cool from a, you know, from an actual real world future thing, but you just put it in like the most hippie way possible.
Yeah.
Hey man,
you know.
You can have a bridge experience.
But you know, in a real world military scenario, right? And I don't know much about the military, but there are those that they either go into command, but you could be a career military person and never go
right. So
right?
in the Navy, there's actually different types of officers. There's unrestricted officers and there's restricted officers, and then there's like a whole bunch of other things like lawyers and stuff like that. But like a restricted officer would be like an engineer who does not go into command. However, to go into command, you have to qualify as an engineer. So your entire journey through the ranks is qualifying at all of the different spots.
Wow, that's cool.
So
that's
like when you're a lieutenant on a destroyer, you're basically the tactical officer, right? When you're a lieutenant commander on the destroyer, you're either navigation or XO, basically. Or chief engineer, you know, depending on how you go across the various things. So it's like you graduate as a ship officer, and then you learn all the different career paths, and then you kind of like basically needs of the Navy.
Okay, yeah, that would make total sense. You would have to have a command of all those things in order to command. Right.
Right. And they kind of do that a little bit when like Deanna Troi is like trying to become like a commander, and Riker's like the engineering qualification is the hardest one. It's like, yeah, dude, because you're talking about a warp engine. Like, what? Like it's beyond theoretical physics. Like, of course, like some random asshole can't fucking just become an engineer one day. That's what always pissed me off about Geordi, because like I understand. Look, it's the most Roddenberry thing in the world to have the blind guy as the pilot. Like that's the most Roddenberry thing I could ever think of, right? The black blind guy is the pilot, right? But then all of a sudden, he out of nowhere, he's chief engineer. It's like, does he know anything about engineering? Like, to be a pilot, you have to understand a little bit of flight engineering. But like, is he a fucking quantum physicist? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. And anyway, Geordi sucks. I don't like Geordi.
The thing, just as a dude who was watching that, you know, at the time, when season 2 came out and Geordi was the chief engineer, like you kind of just went, yeah, okay, of course he is. No. Yeah, like, but that's such a testament to I forget the actor's name, LeVar Burton. Yeah, it's he just had such a commanding presence, and then they spent the next 6 years writing him like a shithead.
Dude, they just wrote him like the biggest loser. Like he really did. So much so that they had to invent the ultimate loser in Lieutenant Barclay to like out-loser him. They're like only the biggest incel holodeck dork in the world could be dorkier than and only barely dorkier than Geordi.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah,
I didn't know against LeVar Burton.
Yeah.
No, that guy's an awesome actor, and he was
great.
He was great in the first season, and he kind of like, I get why they said in the writers' room, which was during the writers' strike. So it was like probably 3 guys going, "Can we just make him engineer?" Like that was probably
including Maury Hurley.
That's probably a factor there, but because he's a cool guy that like has presence. I mean, he doesn't have gravitas like Patrick Stewart, but he fills the scene, you know.
Yeah.
And then
also, who was like, the engineer though?
Then they
so in season 1, there is no like main character chief engineer.
Yeah, they needed that.
In multiple episodes, they talk to or have like side characters who they call chief engineer, and they only appear in 1 episode each.
No,
so it's Chief
Argyle's in like 4 episodes. Come on, man. Yeah.
Oh,
the girl engineer. The rest of it, you're right. Like, but I have to say that
Is he? I thought he was just in the one. Anyway, the point being that clearly Jean-Luc Picard just rotates through chief engineers. He's like, nope.
And what was talk about this because of the Andorian guy, right? We spoke about that when Carol Kane was announced that she's going to be the chief engineer. Strange New Worlds. We were like, yeah, man, maybe they're doing that. That it's just a joke that they're going to swap engineers out until the last episode when Scotty shows up.
That would work. That'd be a funny joke.
And what was Worf before he became security? After Yar died, what was Worf?
Good question.
He was just like a bridge guy.
He's just a guy standing on the bridge. Like in terms of like the command structure that they use in season 2 through 7, his role doesn't exist. He basically just stands on the bridge next to.
Because he never flew the ship. He's one of the peripheral guys, right? Yeah. Like he might as well have been Uhura, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As far as I remember it, Larry, am I wrong?
No, I remember it that way, but it's always seemed to me like they were shooting him like he was manning one of the back stations at the Horseshoe, and whenever Tasha Yar would say something, he would like turn around and stick his nose in. So I mean, you kind of you can get it that they were like, this was a last minute addition. They're like, oh, it'd be cool to have a Klingon there.
Well,
he'll just be the Klingon, you know.
They make fun of it in All Good Things. In All Good Things, when Picard is jumping through timelines and he jumps back to before Farpoint, and he gives an order to Worf, and Tasha Yar gets all pissed off, and she's like, I'm chief security officer. Unless you want to make a change or something like that. And Picard has like an old man moment. He's like, oh yes, of course you are. Yes.
Hard for me to remember what fucking year I'm in right now. Thanks a lot, Q.
Yeah, that was such a good finale. I'm so glad they never did anything with those characters again, so I don't ruin that moment.
I loved All Good Things because they brought Guy Vardaman back.
Dude, All Good Things is just perfect.
I love that.
It's such a perfect send-off for that entire crew.
So yeah, it seems like you want to shit on Picard then, because I'm with you, man.
I hate Picard.
It's so perfect. Like, I get why you do movies after that, because there's a whole, money structure involved.
Yeah.
But like, man, I don't need another TV show with these guys as they're getting older.
Well, and look, now, friend of the show, Robert Meyer Burnett, has been on Twitter for the last few months talking about season 3 is going to vindicate season 1, season 2, right?
Great.
But I don't see how. I don't see how that's even possible. And I'll watch it. I'll go in with as open a mind as I can. But like season 1 and 2 were so bad, like it's crazy. But I wanted to say something. I can't remember what I wanted to say. I don't remember.
Well, guys, I feel like you're raining on my parade. I finally saw something. I'm like, wow, that I kind of want to see that. Like, if they have something to save, like if they get that crew together and they have an interesting plot, I think they have plenty of ways to write like we talked about last week. They can write their way out of the dumb Picard as a robot. Anything they want. They got so many aces in the hole to like rework reality forever fundamentally, so many ways that they could do it that I don't know. I'll give them I would like to give them a shot. I don't think I doubt I'll watch this as it streams unless you guys are watching. Are you gonna hate watch it?
Oh, I'm definitely watching.
I'm definitely watching it.
I'm the guy interested with any interest in it, and I'm like, yeah, probably not.
I don't even know when. I don't even know. Have they announced a date? I don't even know. This is how not paying attention I am.
Dan, my kid is really interested in it, so I'm gonna watch it with him.
Okay,
I'll probably end up liking it because I'll have a fun experience with my kid, right?
Yeah.
I got him one Christmas. I got him a Horgon, and he like got really in. And I showed him that episode, and he really got into Next Gen for a little while. So he's looking forward to that, just like all of us. That like, how do you at your core? Even me and Price, we're like, okay, I'll get on one last mission with Picard and Lore and fucking Geordi and all those guys. It's great. I love Jonathan Frakes. It's just the older everybody gets, it's like the more he's the only guy who knows what show he's on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's a section of the Kurtzman Star Trek where they're just doing crazy shit, and there's one guy who's like, "Fuck, I got the shirt. All right, I'm in Star Trek. Fuck you." Like, you know, Doug Jones or the guy who played Lorca was really in the beginning of Discovery. He gave me so much hope because I'm like, okay, that guy knows what's going on. But like, he's the bad guy in a show that everybody wants to watch. It's insane.
It was bad.
Tony's got here. We go. Another X. Here's another X Mac. I would love this. That would be another cool ending.
That would be funny.
I don't know.
Season 3 can vindicate itself. Yeah.
Here's what I would like to see them do: will this season be at all episodic like Next Gen, or is it all in on the full season story arc? That's a genuine question. I mean, could they not pivot?
No, they're gonna do a full arc. Maybe they'll do like this episode we meet Worf, and this episode we meet Geordi, and this maybe they'll do something like that. But outside of that, it's gonna be a full 10, 15 episodes.
Yeah, that would actually be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Getting the band back together, forming the Blues Brothers, right? And they got to go to Chicago, and they got to get Matt Guitar Murphy. They got to pick up Worf wherever he's at. I think that could be an interesting premise. I don't know if they structure it right. There's just something about seeing it the way they showed it. It looked. Other Picard did not remind me of Next Generation. Like I said, it was old man Picard in a dark, gloomy place, like in the present day and stuff, and like nothing I wanted to see at all. And this one gave me everything I wanted to see in one trailer. So I don't know. They're doing something right.
That is a really interesting thing about just how TV and streaming and movies and stuff is all going now. That the audience is starting to go, yeah, that's nothing I want to see. Like, that's a legitimate criticism, Dan. I'm not kind of poking fun at you or anything. But like, that didn't happen before. Because there was only, you only got, to see 20 movies a year or whatever, right? And now you see whatever you want whenever you want. So the experience isn't that dear, right? It's like, so that becomes like back to, your She-Hulk problems where people go, that's just not what I want. And they don't understand that's so what? That's not how that works. But to go to your thing about, is it going to be episodic or serialized? There's no episodic television anymore ever.
Yeah.
Right. It's all, that's what the studios are producing, and that's what the streaming guys are buying.
But I mean, Star Trek that we just watched, right? They moved it to a. Definitely moved it on the continuity or continuum back towards episodic, away from.
Thank God.
And did it in a way I thought that was cool. That really bridged the gap. I think, to be honest, to me, that's the pattern of the future. There is not to have these excruciating, drawn out, full season story arcs, but to have a few arcs that overlap and come together. More like old school TV, more like watching Hill Street Blues or something back in the day.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely the way they should move forward with a lot of these things. If you have a really good 10-episode story, that's one thing. But something like Star Trek just doesn't lend itself to that. You need, especially with an ensemble cast, like you need these weaving arcs back and forth. Maybe there's a big bad in the whole season, but again, it's like, I always bring up Daredevil because to me, Daredevil is just so masterfully done those first couple seasons, where it's like, every episode felt different, but the same, and also moving toward the same end plot, but a different mini plot all at the same time. I think they just did it so well.
Very comic book structure, John. That's like how they used to write back in the day, right? Like, it's self-contained. You can watch any episode and sort of understand everything. But then you were rewarded a little more, I guess, for watching the whole thing.
Are you guys watching the new Quantum Leap?
No, I haven't seen it.
All right, well, I'll keep it short then. But this addresses exactly what we're talking about. I kind of don't want to say I'm not liking it because my friends Ben Rabb and Derek Hughes are writers on it, executive producers, and I know that they're hamstrung by what the network's asking for, but they're asking for this. Like the fun of old Quantum Leap was, what the fuck is Sam going into now? Right? So it was episodic, even though you had the Dean Stockwell through line, right? Now they've set up the show as what the fuck's been going on, but there's some kind of mysterious thing, and the quantum leap Swiss cheese thing has made him not remember what kind of conspiracy he was going to do. And literally half of every show, a third of every show, is the guys back in the lab going, "What's going on with this mystery?" And it's like, no, nobody cares. We don't know those characters. Maybe back in the old days, Al would say, "Oh, look at this funny thing that Ziggy and Shmooga got up to or something," but it was a thing he was telling Sam to keep Sam connected, right? And then this is a thing to keep the audience connected, and I just think that's narrative weakness. I think fucking pick a pitch and swing. Have it be adventure episodes, or have it be some big long Game of Thrones thing that everybody has to buy into for 7 years, because that's just how it's going now. I mean, I'm gonna go watch some Ryan Reynolds kid movie, for 2 hours before I buy into some big long thing now.
Yeah, I do think it's evolving, and I think it's so virgin territory now in a way. Like they're trying to get that balance, and I think, like for instance, whether you dump the whole series to binge watch or whether you do it week to week, I think we're in agreement here that week to week is better, right? There's no need. I never want to have the whole season sitting dumped in one day. I mean, so
guys like us, definitely. Joe's got an awesome point though, that real life quests are a group of small stories. What's wrong with that? Every day of my life is an episode. But Joe, you've been slaying the comments, so thank you. But here's the thing: nobody cares about your life. I'm not watching a TV show of Joe's life because it's got meaning for you and a small arc and stuff like that. But that's what you're absolutely right. That's what they're trying to make me buy into on TV, and I don't care. Wake me up when fucking Sam Beckett comes back and says, "It's all been a dream, Ben." I don't think Star Trek can do that.
You still think that's coming? You think there's going to be a Bakula drop at the end of the season?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think all his good luck everybody is a complete
How can you? I don't think there is a quantum leap without a Scott Bakula attached. There's nothing there.
You know who knows that better than all of us? Donald P. Bellisario. There is no way. There's no way that Scott Bakula is not showing up in the last season episode, or whatever the last. They just got an order for the back 9, so it's only 13 episodes so far.
Here's what you do. He jumps into Sam's body. He jumps into Sam, like young Sam or middle Sam or something like that.
Dan, if I had pants on, I'd get up and leave. That if it's not that, you just ruin that whole show. If he doesn't jump into Sam at the end, what are they fucking doing?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You're absolutely right. Close it up. It's over. At least that part of the conversation. That dude, I think I'm like the king of pop culture. You've just defeated me. Everything I've ever came up with pales into that. That's awesome, man. Nice work.
Did you predict? Not to pivot necessarily yet, but did you predict the Hulk King? Because my wife,
he's the only guy it could have been, right?
And they shoehorned him into the previous episode so much that they had to do that, or he didn't really make sense at all. Yeah,
right.
I didn't mean to.
That's fine. I kind of knew that though, because a little before, me and all my friends do the Internet Movie Database cast scrub every once in a while, and that actor was listed as whatever his name was, but it said like Tony Hulk Tony, and so or whatever his name was, But so yeah, we knew something was coming with that. So I love She-Hulk. She-Hulk's great.
That was predictable. Going into it, I didn't like the last couple episodes. I was like, this is kind of like not good. And then the finale, as it was coming together and all those people jumping in, I'm like, this is pretty dumb. And then they just turn around and acknowledge how stupid it is. And even that it's such a predictable Marvel ending, and then people are sick of this kind of everything they did. You could have went too far with that meta stuff with Kevin at the end, but I felt like it was a big win. It redeemed the entire show, made me like where I was losing interest. I was right back at the end of that one for sure.
Did you watch that at all, Price? You kind of look like you have nothing to say.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I have not seen She-Hulk. All I've seen is a bunch of people getting pissed off that
you kind of don't get like
how
you don't get how brilliant it is because you hate comics. But they reproduce.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with me hating comics. I just literally just haven't watched it. Like
I just meant the end. They reproduced something in the comic in television, which I didn't think was going to be possible, and they made it better. They like break a fifth the wall, which is
it was amazing.
Really cool. Amazing. You're like, wow, you just invented a new thing people are going to be doing now.
Nice.
So,
nice.
But that's what Mimi said. She's like, you kind of can't watch this now. It's like Sixth Sense. That once you know Bruce Willis has been dead the whole time, it colors how you watch it through. Mm-hmm. And it's like they wrote that show 3 years ago, and they predicted every stupid fucking tweet,
reaction, all the hate reaction.
They predicted everything at the time, right? Here's what the response is going to be when this episode comes out. So we're going to do this, and then by the time you get to the end, it's like, oh no, dude, it was Agatha all the time.
It's because the reactions are so fucking predictable. Like the haters, the fanboys, whatever you want to call them, like they're so fucking predictable. It's like, dude, what is like? I haven't seen the show, but like, what's the actress's name?
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah. Why are you complaining about a show that stars that gorgeous woman? Like, what is going on here? Like, you're a nerd. Like, congratulations, you get to watch a nerd show with a gorgeous woman starring in it. Like, what?
I'm with you. One of the threads is that no one wants to date her as a human because they're so attracted to the big green She-Hulk. And like normal people like you and me are like, why not both? Like, what's the division
That's not
here?
At all.
She's gorgeous when she's little and pink, and she's gorgeous when she's big and green.
That's like one of those stupid Hallmark movies, Christmas movies, where it's like, this gorgeous blonde is like, why won't anyone ever date me? I think I'm unattractive and I'm rich. And then it's like some lumberjack is like, oh, date you, woman. You know, and she's like, oh, the meaning of love. You know, it's awful.
Yeah. Joe's got a pretty good point. Like, if you want to subvert the property, why not just make a new one?
Because absolutely.
But that's not subversion, right?
Well, that's the point. It's like, but that's the point. We've been saying this for a long time. It's like, if you want to make The Expanse or Game of Thrones and just put it in space, just call it something else. Like, Anyway, I don't.
It's more like the Orville, right? I mean. The Orville's great. Seth gets the money, but he's not really subverting anything with Star Trek.
No, not at all.
He's just riffing on Star Trek. So creating a new property doesn't necessarily subvert any old properties. You know what I mean? The subversion has to be done from within. But then Joe's right with his last thing. When are we going to get stuff we want or new properties? The studios aren't buying new stuff. I just read. I wish I could remember who it was, but it was somebody who was known for doing some he's taking an old cartoon he used to work on and coming back with it, and so all the kids are going, why don't you do something new? And he's like, dude, I pitched Netflix 16 different new properties and every single one was turned down, and then I pitched them like, hey, I can do that cartoon again, and they were like, yes, instantly.
Right.
So it's not so much it's the money guys. They're like, we have to recoup our investment in the fastest way possible. So,
which in a way
makes for some more quantum leap, you know?
Yeah. In a way, it makes a lot of sense, but also it's just so fucking cynical. Like, I don't know. Like, anyway,
you know, it's just a phase, though. It's like pretty soon Westerns are going to be the new monkeys.
Is it? You know? Is it a phase? It's been a phase for a long time now.
But here's the thing: always new stuff seems to come out, right?
That's true. That's true.
But right now, it's not.
You know, before they deleted the episode from the internet, Max Landis was on Red Letter Media, and he was trying to make a really good point. He's like, he said it in a really whiny kind of way, but he was trying to make a good point where he's like, look, there are original movies all the time, and they don't do well. So if you want to see original movies, go see original movies and help them do well. right? Like otherwise, you're just going to keep getting billion-dollar Marvel movies that they know are going to make $1 billion every time. You know,
right. I mean, well, there's so much. There's risk management involved, right? A known property automatically is less risky as a built-in audience, but it doesn't seem like.
You're right there, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm okay. My daughter. Sorry, I had to run. My daughter's home today. Not feeling.
It's good. Just you look a little green, not a little blue. That's why we ask.
Yeah.
I mean, we moved on. We moved on from She-Hulk already, so.
Kind of, not really though. We're still talking about like new stuff and Marvel. And...
reboots. Here's the thing, guys. What is the history of everything we know? All stories, humanity. Stories are humanity. We've been rebooting our stories since the beginning of time. The Romans rebooted the Greek myths to fit their society. That's all we do. George Lucas rebooted a bunch of Eastern mythology and mixed it with Western movies and brought mixed it with Flash Gordon and brought us Star Wars, right? So now it's just third generation remixes of all that stuff all the way down. And that's where I go. Somebody has the room now. Now that the technological barrier has decreased enough, somebody is going to come along. There will be that somebody who's going to have the breakout thing. There will be the new.
Well, I mean, A24 was doing that for a while with horror movies. They were just putting out a whole bunch of just like low budget, relatively good movies. They're just like, here, do it. And a lot of them were successful. A lot of them weren't, but whatever.
I think that's what's going to happen. That there's going to be some kind of like interstitial condensing, like in the old days, you'd put your roaches in the bottom thing of film and you go up until you got to the top and it was a nice piece of hash when you were done at the end. I think that theatrical movies are going to be about 7 to 10 minutes long. And it's going to be a thing that just goes into your glasses or whatever that you're wearing that you can see. And no one is going to care about why did they talk about the backstory. It's just going to be, this is going on. This guy wants it to happen. This guy wants it to stop. Who's the good guy? Maybe he shouldn't rob the bank. Oh, fuck, that happened. And then you're going to be like, that's the best fucking thing I've ever seen. And then you're going to watch like 6 movies a day, right? Just on the crapper.
That's when they're going to come with an eyedropper.
Right, or whatever, the delivery, right?
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Ooh, wouldn't that be cool? Just like, and you put it under your tongue too, not in your eye. Yeah. Just kind of drop it.
Like a hit of acid.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, that was a cool 7-minute memory I had. Oh,
I think that's actually not beyond the pale at all. It's something that we'll see in our lifetime.
Excellent.
That's a good idea. But like in folklore, right? There's literally an entire index that a guy made in the 1940s, the Thompson Index, like literally just outlining the structure of thousands and thousands and thousands of folk tales from around the world. Like, so like every culture has a Cinderella story. They just change a couple things here and there, but it still fits under, Arnie type 333 or whatever it is, that's a little Riding Hood. But like, still, it's like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to put the wheel in a new context for your culture. So like coming up with original movies isn't as hard as it might seem at first blush. And I say that as someone who has never made an original movie, but like the plot doesn't have to be extravagant. It's what you do with the plot. It's what you do with the characters. It's what you do with the setting, right? That makes it original. Am I making sense?
Yeah, yes. It does. But I think the budgets, the amount, the cost to make anything, let alone to market, right? That's where the budget, like you can make the greatest movie in the world, but if nobody hears about it, it won't be a hit. So indie movies are not going to do good. But what I think the problem is that now there's so much risk because of that the next wave is going to come from the bottom up. Like I was saying, it's got to be people that create something that's just so good, and the internet has leveled the distribution system such that now everybody can see it tomorrow if it's that great.
I don't know. I mean, I hear the argument about like special effects and like all that stuff, and like I understand, but like how many times in the past few years have fan films had better special effects than official Star Wars or official Star Trek, or like, dude, some of the Star Trek shots that they've been putting out the last 2 years are embarrassingly bad. And they're finally, the one good thing I'll say about Picard, is they finally got the Star Trek Online people in the room. And the Star Trek Online people have been putting out good ship designs for 10 years now. And you know what? The Enterprise F is a really good ship design. You can hate it, that's fine, whatever. Compared to the stuff that fucking they've been coming up with on their own, it's amazing. You know, and that comes out of Star Trek Online. That's a Star Trek Online fan design.
I just love you shitting on John Eves without bringing up
I hate John Eves. I think John Eves is the worst Starfleet, Starship designer. I think he's absolutely the worst. Good. Get me Andrew Probert every day of the week, please, please.
I think this is in our future at some point, more like crossover stuff, a la like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit or the recent Chip and Dale thing. It's not enough to just reboot one property. You got to bring back like 20 properties from your childhood. To be honest, what's going to happen and why we're going to get pissed off, guys, is when our generation ages out of, and so Star Wars was us, dude. This next generation, they have some Star Wars, but there's a ton more like Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog, SpongeBob, Super Mario, all this, a ton of Japanese stuff that we've never heard of, Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho and Rurouni Kenshin and all this stuff that are selling in the millions to our kids. Those are the comics that the kids are reading in just swarms and swarms. So 20 years from now, it's going to be a return of like Japanese. It's going to be all anime influence.
I can't wait for when they reboot SpongeBob to all dark and gritty. It's going to be awesome. That's going to be great.
It'll be like a natural sea sponge shape.
Dave Porter with Get Me the Phantom meeting the Rocketeer. Dude, I am in. I am there waiting in line before ticket sales open. I am there. Let's do it. Phantom, Rocketeer, Nazis. Let's do this.
Throw in the Shadow, man.
Perfect.
Shadow.
Oh man, Shadow and make that a movie, yeah.
And Doc Savage. Doc Savage is the one that like is meant to be, but like Rocketeer was one of those comics that credibly existed in that pulp world where like all those things were happening. Like there were tons of Doc Savage references in the Rocketeer, but like it could have just as easily been the Shadow.
I love it. Let's do it.
I have kind of this different view because my kid he's taking a video production class and he's on, you guys know he's been writing screenplays for like half
since he was 6.
Yeah. So he just wrote this one, and he could never take like old movies for all the reasons that Dan is saying. I'm just going the other end of what Dan is saying. You can't predict this because, you know, film noir, Orson Welles' Touch of Evil and stuff. We weren't sitting around in the afternoon watching that shit. But his professor suggests Kiss Me Deadly, Mickey Spillane. And he watched that whole fucking movie and was like, okay, why did they frame this with the people down below? Oh, it's just black above them, so that's oppression. And like he caught like all the stuff, but that kid has been watching narrative his entire life. So because of our family. And I think that the people, the next generation of creators that are going to produce stuff are just going to condense all of that crazy MTV editing shit that we were responsible for and just condense it down even more. And so like your 22-minute comedy is just going to be a TikTok, right? Your theatrical film is going to be like a 6-minute short.
Yeah.
And I really think that's going to happen because, and the like super famous people are going to have a global audience. Billions of people will know their names, and they'll just be like living in a tent on the side of the road because there's no money in it for the content creators.
I was gonna say all of my kids at Starfleet High School, they all want to be influencers. Like that's the job they want. Yeah. Like either an athlete, for a lot of the guys want to be athletes. A lot of the girls want to be influencers. And I'm like, you guys know that's not a real thing, right? Like,
but it is to them. That's the cool.
It is to them,
right?
Because they don't understand that it's not a real thing. Like, like they're being influenced to think that it's a real thing, and it's not. And I try to tell them, and they just like, whatever, old white guy. I'm like, yeah.
I kind of can't blame them because I mean, look at the things where like guys are like doing their little TikToks about, oh, here's the yacht I'm on today, and I'm drinking energy soup, and everybody goes, ooh, I can get girls with bikinis. It's just marketing, but if they just tell your kids like go into advertising and marketing then, because that's how you get to be an influencer.
But like, I mean, you know, the Twitch guy or like the Twitch guys they watch who are just flaunting their money, or like the ASM artists who make a ton of money for just being a hot chick whispering into the microphone. It's like, yeah, if you're willing to whore yourself out, like, yeah, you can do it. But that's like every other profession.
If the money is what you want,
whore yourself out, that's
just
fine.
Do OnlyFans.
Right.
You know?
OnlyFans. I mean,
and here's the thing: it's a grind, like everything else. Being a content creator, dude. Unless you enjoy it, unless you love it, unless you like what you're talking about, it's such a hard like. And then the pressures are there. All the comments of people hating you, all the people you compare yourself to that have more subscribers, like every other YouTuber that I know, anyway, who's like. I don't know. I watch some of the content out there, but then I look at some shows and I go, like, these people are making content that they're clearly enjoying themselves. I'm enjoying consuming it. I'm getting something out of it, and I want to support these people.
Yeah.
And I do, and I'll monetarily support them if I feel like they're providing a value to my life. Right. It's a weird world, man. Like. Is that worse than the world where all we had was like Wonder Bread ads on 3 networks? I don't know.
Can I tell you? Yesterday, I was in the car. I was making fun and joking with my kid, and I sang this Fritos ad that I came back and looked up from 1974. So I'm fucking 59 years old, and still in my brain is every word of a Fritos ad from when I was like 9.
Think about the value.
Insane.
Think about the monetary value of what they spent to get that ad, which was a lot back then.
Yeah.
A lot of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know. All told, create the ad and then pay for the airtime. Probably more than that. And but still, it's for dude, how many millions of people like yourself still remember that ad? Like, I will never forget.
They made it such a thing, man. They in your little packs that you would get for your mom would buy 6 little individual things. So you had Fritos for the week in your lunch. Oh, you get a free Frito Bandito eraser for your pencil top. Or like, and no kidding, Bud Light stickers. They had like a Bud Light race car driver. So that was a thing in 4th grade. If you didn't have Bud Light stickers on your little spiral notebook, like for little kids, man, alcohol. Yeah. It
was Marlboro Reds in,
the 70s,
in middle school and high school. Like all the cool kids had like a Marlboro Red backpack, like in like Marlboro Red stuff. It was the weirdest thing for a couple of years. But I was just gonna say one thing. I love the show 2.5 Men with Charlie Sheen, and the most brilliant part of that show is that he is a rich, like lazy rich guy. Playboy type guy, and his job is to write commercial jingles. That should tell you everything you need to know about the power of commercial jingles.
Yeah.
Dude, earworm to get in your head.
Oh, yep. Yeah. And he would just sit there drunk at his piano and watch as some hot lady left his beach house.
It's interesting because it was so much easier. Like back then, those ads were beyond the reach of all but big companies, right? But now there's so much being pushed at us from every direction, and everybody's creating stuff that even those big brands have a really hard time getting the mind share that they used to. Like McDonald's used to be it, but now they're like they're nothing in our minds.
So I love comedy, and I hate podcasts, but I listen to a couple of comedy podcasts because comedians are funny. And fucking Bill Burr gets associated with this MeUndies place, and he reads their ads. But because he's a hilarious comedian, he just wings it, right? He kind of reads their copy, and they kind of have cool stuff, but he zips it up, right? So one day he says, "MeUndies, MeUndies, no more sweaty balls." And they like go insane in the good way. They're like, that's part of our thing now. You have to do that all the fucking time. And now I have 25 MeUndies and 2 of their pajama things, because I walk around the house just saying that, and my wife thinks it's so funny that that's what I get for my birthday and Christmas. Yeah. And they're like $30 a piece. So no shit, I have 25 of them. What's the math on that? She spent hundreds of dollars because Bill Burr was just being an asshole one day.
I mean, that's exploiting
the power of what's going on now.
But like at its heart, they're exploiting like. It's like from our animal days, like you had to remember like what the bird sounded like, or like what a bear growling would sound like to save your life. Like you had to have this instant recall of certain like, and then for language and everything else, we had just have this incredibly amazing brains for remembering patterns. And those Madison Avenue bastards, they're just like they knew it. They've known it forever. They've been just leveraging every piece of psychological warfare they could, and I'm amazed to this day that we still have soda pop in schools, that we have a lot of things that like just seemed like really horrible. Caffeinated soda. I still can't believe that like the smackdown has not come down on like how addictive caffeine is, and then giving that to kids.
Yeah, though, it's so awesome because I love that shit. All you have to do, anybody can do it. You just say something a couple of times and enthusiastically, and then you're Trump, right? I mean, that happens to you. You were like kind of mad for a week because it's not Fridays on the internet anymore, right? And that.
That was in my brain.
So if me can make fetch happen, right? Just with a couple of friends who are like, yeah, that's hilarious. I'll say it too. And then it's a thing where you're like, I missed that. Like, imagine what people that have, a budget are doing. You know what I mean? I'm surprised it took so long for them to let somebody like Trump, who's, good people on
but it's the cost of the impression now. Yeah. It's the ability to get that impression, though, to even get you to see it. Like I don't see any TV commercials anymore. Like they're not a part of my media consumption diet in any way, because I pay for YouTube, so I get no ads on there, and I stream everything else. So like they could spend billions to try and reach me with a well-produced ad, and it's not going to work. But like if they tell, like you were saying, Larry, if they they talked about Ridge wallets on Cumtown, that's one of my favorite. I bought it, man. You know what I mean? Like it took like 10 times of me hearing about it, and then I checked the website out. I'm like, oh, I need a wallet. That's the wallet I will get. It's amazing.
But you heard that online, right?
On Cumtown. You guys ever listen to Cumtown?
I love the fact. Of course you listen to Cumtown. Of course you do. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying. You're still getting ads. They're just not on TV. Right? That's
what I mean. That's the only way. It's back to the 1950s,
Poor Facebook, though, because I cannot remember a Facebook ad. Like their ad thing just is not part of my experience. Like it needs an audio component for me to care. So I'm susceptible to Bill Burr singing his little sweaty balls thing. Because they think it's funny. Man.
Jingles are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a jingle. We need a jingle on this show.
We definitely need a jingle for the show. If you're out there as a member of the audience and you want to create a jingle for Serious Star Trek, go for it. Just go for it.
I got wait. Before the red alert, belay that murder. I want to tell Dan, I was brushing my teeth this morning, and I'm like, okay, at 3:00, one thing I'm doing Serious Star Trek. And in my head went, it's Dan Shaheen.
I've got jingles.
Mailbacks. So you got a jingle.
I got jingles for sure. I got jingles. Well, but we'll have to come up. Well, now I got a musical mission. I'm gonna have to animate and do something.
I think John and I should sing the real lyrics to the Alexander Courage Star Trek theme.
Well, guys, this message, that sound you just heard means we're out of time for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Serious Star Trek today. And I know we're coming back. We're going to be back. I think this Thursday, Larry, you got time for $1 Million Mailbox?
Oh, yes, absolutely. With Dan Shaheen.
There you'll have a jingle. But how about this, guys? I'm going to make a challenge, and I'm going to come up with something. I'll come up with a snappy something for a jingle maybe by next Tuesday. I hope you've all got time. Next Tuesday, it's going to be what? Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Earth Pacific time. But where's it going to be? You know where it's going to be? Hey, it's going to be on the internet, of course. Wait, I got a clip here somewhere. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. On the internet.
Happy birthday, Molly.